Leo was a young boy who lived in a small village near a very big forest. The village was quiet and peaceful. The people grew vegetables and looked after sheep, but the forest was different. Everyone in the village said the forest was the Blue Forest because at night the trees glowed with a soft blue light. Leo was very curious. He had a big map of the area, but the forest on his map was just a blank white space. No one went into the forest because they were afraid of the silver wolves. One sunny Monday morning, Leo decided to go on an adventure. He put on his heavy brown boots and his favorite green jacket. He took a large backpack and packed many things: a big bottle of fresh water, 2 red apples and some cheese, a small sharp knife to cut wood, a powerful flashlight for the dark, a warm blanket. He walked past the old windmill and the river. The birds were singing and the sun was hot. When he reached the edge of the forest, the air became cool. The trees were very tall. Their leaves were dark green, but their trunks were a strange light silver color. "I am not afraid," Leo whispered to himself. He took a deep breath and stepped onto the mossy ground of the forest. The forest was very quiet. There were no birds here. The only sound was the wind in the leaves. Shh, shh, shh. As Leo walked deeper, he noticed that the ground was covered in blue flowers. These flowers were shaped like stars. When Leo touched one, it made a tiny sound like a bell. Ding! Leo walked for 3 hours. He was looking for the great oak, which was the biggest tree in the world according to the old stories. Suddenly he heard a noise behind a large bush. Snap! A branch broke. Leo froze. He reached for his flashlight. Out of the shadows stepped a wolf. But it was not a normal wolf. Its fur was made of silver wire, and its eyes were like 2 blue diamonds. It was a silver wolf. The wolf did not growl. It did not look angry. It looked at Leo's backpack. Leo realized the wolf was hungry. Slowly, Leo opened his bag and took out the cheese. He put it on the ground and stepped back. The silver wolf walked forward and ate the cheese. Then it looked at Leo and moved its head toward the north. It wanted Leo to follow. "Are you showing me the way?" Leo asked. The wolf turned and started to run slowly. Leo began to run too. They ran past glowing mushrooms and hidden waterfalls. The forest was becoming more and more blue as the sun started to set. Leo knew that his real adventure was only beginning. The sun went down, and the forest changed completely. It was no longer dark. The silver trunks of the trees started to glow with a bright blue light. The ground looked like the night sky because the star-shaped flowers were shining everywhere. Leo followed the silver wolf. The wolf was fast, but it stopped every few minutes to wait for Leo. Leo felt like he was in a dream. He looked at his compass, but the needle was spinning in circles. The magic of the forest was very strong here. "Wait!" Leo called out. The wolf stopped near a large, clear pond. The water was perfectly still, like a mirror. In the middle of the pond, there was a small island with a stone pedestal. On top of the pedestal, there was a glass jar. Inside the jar, a small gold key was floating in the air. "Do we need that key?" Leo asked. The wolf barked once and pointed its nose toward the water. Leo looked at the pond. He saw that the water was not deep, but there were large flat stones under the surface. It was a puzzle. If he stepped on the wrong stone, he might fall into the cold water. He saw a pattern on the stones. Some had pictures of the sun, and some had pictures of the moon. Leo remembered a poem his grandmother used to sing. "Follow the moon to find the light, avoid the sun to win the night." "I understand," Leo said. He stepped only on the stones with the moon symbol. Step, step, step. He reached the island safely. He picked up the glass jar and took out the golden key. The key felt warm in his hand. As soon as he took the key, the trees in front of him moved aside. A hidden path appeared. At the end of the path was the great oak. It was the most beautiful thing Leo had ever seen. The tree was taller than a skyscraper. Its branches reached into the clouds. Instead of leaves, the tree had thousands of glowing blue crystals. The trunk was so wide that 10 people could hold hands around it. At the base of the tree, there was a small wooden door with a golden lock. Leo walked to the door. He was nervous. His hands were shaking a little bit. He put the golden key into the lock. Click. The door opened and a warm golden light came out. The silver wolf sat down and watched Leo. It seemed happy. "Are you coming with me?" Leo asked. The wolf shook its head and stayed outside. Leo knew he had to go inside alone. Inside the tree, there was a spiral staircase made of white wood. Leo started to climb. He climbed for a long time. He saw small windows that showed the whole forest from high above. It was beautiful. Finally, he reached the top. There was a small room with a table. On the table was a book made of silver paper. The book was open, but the pages were blank. Next to the book was a blue feather pen. Suddenly, a voice spoke. It was a soft, kind voice. It came from the tree itself. "Welcome, Leo. You are the first person to reach the heart of the forest in 100 years. You have the golden key, and you have the silver pen. Now you must write the future of the forest." Leo looked at the blank pages. He realized that the forest was waiting for him to tell a new story. Leo looked at the silver book. The pages were very bright. He held the blue feather pen in his hand. It felt light, like a piece of air. Outside the window, the blue light of the forest was starting to fade. The trees were becoming dark. "The magic is disappearing," Leo whispered. "I have to write quickly." Leo thought about his village. He thought about his mother, his father, and his friends. Then he thought about the silver wolf and the beautiful glowing flowers. He didn't want the magic to go away, but he also wanted his village to be safe. He began to write on the first page. As he wrote, the letters appeared in glowing blue ink. "The blue forest and the village will be friends," Leo wrote. "The silver wolves will protect the people, and the people will protect the trees. The forest will stay magical forever, but it will not be a secret anymore." Suddenly, the book began to shake. The silver pages turned very fast. The blue ink flew off the paper and out of the window. The ink turned into thousands of tiny blue birds. They flew over the trees and touched every branch. Down on the ground, the silver wolf looked up and howled. Its howl was not scary. It sounded like music. All over the forest, the crystals on the trees started to shine brighter than ever before. The blue light spread out of the forest and reached the village. Leo walked down the long spiral staircase. When he stepped out of the great oak, the silver wolf was waiting for him.
But something was different. The wolf now had a small blue collar with a star on it. "We are a team now," Leo said. He patted the wolf's head. The fur felt like soft silk. They walked back toward the village together. When they reached the edge of the forest, Leo saw his neighbors. They were standing near the old windmill. They were holding lanterns, but they were not afraid. They saw the beautiful blue light and the friendly wolf. "Leo!" his mother cried. She ran to him and gave him a big hug. "We were so worried, but look, the forest is beautiful. The air feels clean and happy." Leo showed everyone the golden key. "The forest is our friend now," he explained. From that day on, the village changed. The people used the glowing blue flowers to make medicine that healed the sick. The silver wolves helped the farmers find lost sheep. Leo became the guardian of the forest. He went to the great oak every week to talk to the tree and write new stories in the silver book. The blank space on Leo's map was not white anymore. He drew the trees, the pond, and the great oak with his blue crayons. He wrote a title at the top of his map, "The Land of Friends." Leo was no longer just a curious boy. He was a hero. And every night when he looked out of his bedroom window, he saw the blue light of the forest and knew that the world was full of magic.
1 month after his first adventure, Leo was sitting in his room. He was looking at his map. He noticed something strange. On the map, near the great oak, there was a tiny black dot. It looked like a small hole. "I didn't see a hole near the tree," Leo said to himself. He called the silver wolf. The wolf's name was now Sky. Sky came running to Leo's house. His silver fur sparkled in the sun. "Sky, we have to go back to the great oak," Leo said. Sky barked happily. They ran through the blue forest. The forest was very busy now. Small blue squirrels were jumping in the trees. Bright butterflies were flying around the star-shaped flowers. When they reached the great oak, Leo looked at the ground very carefully. He walked around the giant trunk 3 times. Finally, he saw it. Behind a thick root, there was a small iron ring on the ground. It was a trap door. Leo pulled the ring. The trap door was very heavy. He pulled and pulled. Finally, it opened. Under the door, there was a stone ladder going deep into the earth. Leo turned on his flashlight. He and Sky went down the ladder. At the bottom, they found a room made of white stone. The room was full of large glass jars. Inside the jars, there were different kinds of weather. One jar had a tiny golden sun. One jar had a small white cloud that made rain. One jar had a miniature snowstorm with little snowflakes. One jar had a gentle swirling wind. "This is the weather room," Leo said in surprise. "The tree controls the weather for the whole valley." Leo looked at the jars. He saw that the rain jar was very low. There was not much water inside. He realized why the village well was almost dry. The magic water was running out. Next to the jars, there was a large silver bowl. Above the bowl, there was a pipe coming from the roots of the great oak, but the pipe was blocked by black mud. "Sky, help me," Leo said. He used his small knife to clean the mud out of the pipe. It was hard work. His hands became very dirty. After 10 minutes, the pipe was clean. Suddenly, clear blue water started to flow from the pipe into the silver bowl. The bowl sent the water into the weather jars. The rain jar began to fill up. Outside, the sky above the forest turned a soft gray, and a gentle, sweet-smelling rain began to fall. "We fixed it, Sky!" Leo shouted. He felt very proud. He realized that being a guardian was not just about writing stories. It was about taking care of the magic machines under the ground. He found a small book in the room. It was an instruction manual for the weather. He put it in his backpack. He knew he would need to study it. As they climbed back up the ladder, Leo felt the cool rain on his face. He looked at the village in the distance. The farmers were out in their fields, dancing in the rain. The village was happy, and the forest was strong. Leo closed the trap door and covered it with leaves. "This will be our secret, Sky," he whispered. They walked home together, wet but very happy, through the beautiful glowing blue forest.
The morning started with a strange orange sky. The air was very hot and heavy. Leo looked at his new weather manual and saw a warning page. The page was bright red. It said, "When the sky turns orange and the wind stops, a great storm is coming." Leo looked at the village. The people were worried. The wind started to blow very hard, and the clouds became black like ink. This was not a normal rainstorm. This was a thunder monster storm. "Sky, we have to go back to the underground room," Leo shouted over the wind. They ran to the great oak. The trees were shaking, and some branches were breaking. Leo opened the hidden trap door and jumped down the ladder. Sky followed him. Inside the stone room, the glass jars were shaking. The wind jar was spinning very fast, and the snow jar was frozen shut. Leo opened the manual to the section called How to Stop a Thunder Monster. It said he needed to balance the temperature. "The air is too hot," said Leo. "I need to add cold air from the snow jar to the wind jar." Leo looked at the jars. They were connected by silver tubes with small valves. He turned the valve on the snow jar. Creak! Cold white mist flowed into the wind jar. The spinning started to slow down, but the room was still shaking. "It is not enough," Leo cried. The manual said, to protect the valley, activate the silver shield. In the center of the room, there was a giant lever made of solid silver. It was very high up. Leo could not reach it. He looked at Sky. "Sky, jump!" The silver wolf ran and jumped high into the air. He grabbed the lever with his mouth and pulled it down with all his weight. Clang! Suddenly, a giant beam of blue light shot up from the roots of the great oak. The light went through the tree and into the sky. It spread out like a big umbrella over the forest and the village. It was a silver shield made of magic energy. Outside, the giant storm hit the shield. Boom! Crash! The lightning hit the blue light, but the shield did not break. Inside the shield, the village was safe. There was no wind and no scary noise. The people looked up and saw the beautiful blue light protecting them. Leo stayed in the underground room for 2 hours. He watched the jars until they were calm and quiet again. When the red light in the manual turned green, he knew the storm was over. He and Sky climbed up to the surface. The black clouds were gone. The sun was shining, and a beautiful rainbow was touching the great oak. The village was perfect. Not one house was hurt. The mayor and the villagers came to the forest. They saw Leo and Sky standing near the giant tree. "You saved us again, Leo," the mayor said. He gave Leo a gold medal with a picture of an oak tree on it. "You are the best guardian we have ever had." Leo smiled and patted Sky. He knew that the weather was a big responsibility. He went back to his room and added a new chapter to his map. He called it The Shield of the Blue Light.
A few days after the big storm, Leo was resting under the great oak. Suddenly, a large shadow covered the ground. Leo looked up. A giant bird was circling the tree. It was a golden eagle, but its feathers were not just gold. They were shining like polished metal. The eagle landed on a low branch. It looked sad.
One of its wings was bent at a strange angle, and a small piece of dark purple stone was stuck in its feathers. "Sky, look," Leo whispered. "The eagle is hurt." Leo approached the bird slowly. He remembered the manual in the underground room. It said that some animals in the forest were light bearers. They helped the sun reach the deepest parts of the woods. Leo carefully pulled the purple stone out of the eagle's wing. As soon as the stone was gone, the eagle let out a loud, clear cry. "That stone is Shadow Rock," a voice said. Leo turned around. It was the chronicler, a tall man made of shimmering mist who sometimes appeared near the great oak. "It comes from the dark peaks. If the golden eagle cannot fly, the sun will not rise over the blue forest tomorrow." Leo knew he had to help. The chronicler told him that the eagle needed to drink from the Mirror Lake on the highest mountain to heal its wing. "I will take him there," Leo said. The mountain was very steep. Leo used his climbing rope and his heavy boots. Sky ran beside him, jumping over rocks. The eagle walked behind them, using its strong beak to help it climb. After many hours, they reached the top. It was the Mountain of Mirrors. The ground was made of flat, shiny stones that reflected the sunlight into the sky. In the center was a small lake. The water was so clear it looked like it wasn't there at all. The eagle walked to the water and took a long drink. Suddenly, its wing began to glow. The bones moved back into place with a soft snap. The eagle stretched its wings, and they were now 3 meters wide. The eagle looked at Leo and leaned down. It wanted Leo to get on its back. "Are you sure?" Leo asked. The eagle nodded. Leo climbed onto the eagle's soft golden back. Sky jumped up too, sitting right behind Leo. With a powerful flap of its wings, the eagle flew into the air. Leo saw the whole world. He saw the blue forest, the village, and the distant ocean. He saw how the great oak sent blue lines of energy into the ground to keep the plants healthy. He saw the water cycle moving from the ocean to the clouds and back to his weather jars. The eagle flew them back to the great oak. It dropped them safely and gave Leo a single golden feather. "Thank you, friend," Leo said. Leo realized that the forest was a big machine and every animal had a job. The silver wolf protected the ground, and the golden eagle protected the sky. Leo put the golden feather in his hat. He felt like he was finally part of the team.